Hey, what's going on YouTube? John Lee here. This is my video log for September 11th, 2021. I just got done listening to the 26 minutes of President Joe Biden, the Democrat, bitch and complain and talk shit about the anti-vaxxers, 80 million anti-vaccinated Americans. And basically said, how un-American they are, and how he was mandating all this for federal employees and businesses with over 100 employees. I mean, where to begin with this is just crazy. But first of all, I just kind of wanted to say personally, directly to the President of the United States, fuck you, man. I mean, what if I had voted for you and now you're sitting here saying, maybe the reason I voted for you or didn't vote for you was because you came out, saying you were not for mask mandates, you were not for any kind of shutdowns, telling everybody you were going to fix all of this COVID within the first 120 days. You're trying to take all this, Trump did pretty much set up the framework for all the vaccines in the first place. So to act like you're taking credit for them 175 million, Americans being vaccinated, it's just, there's just a lack of integrity. So I have a lot to say about this issue because a lot was said during this speech by President Joe Biden. And I am really offended by a couple of things. One of the first things that's most offensive to me as an American of the United States is that today is 9/11, a day of unification. That's your job as a president. It's to keep all of Americans safe, but it's to bring Americans together. Everybody knows that we'll never get anywhere if we're not doing it together. We've got such a division from top down. And, I love that there's so many people speaking up. Ben Shapiro is one of my favorites. He's just an absolute factoid machine. So, that's why I like to listen to him. He doesn't deal with people's feelings, he deals with facts. But it's not just him, it's DeSantis, the governor of Florida. So I don't even know where to begin. But first of all, trying to take credit for getting everybody vaccinated like it was your doing, I don't really agree with that. But to basically say I'm a piece of shit and I'm less of an American for being unvaccinated, it's a confusing political shit show is what it is. Oh, so many things to say, but where to start? So first of all, federally mandating vaccines for federal employees and federally mandating vaccines for businesses with over 100 employees, to my knowledge, to the best of my knowledge, the federal government doesn't have the authority, even in the best interest of the general population. They don't have the power, the right, or the authority to make those types of personal medical decisions a mandate for citizens. That's an authority and a power, I believe, and you can fact check me on this or correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe it varies from state to state, but as far as I know, a mask mandate, a vaccine mandate, that's something that the federal government doesn't get involved in, and I don't think they should. Any personal preference with your medical choice or practice of choice should definitely be up to the individual. So individuals' liberties. So a lot of people are saying it's unconstitutional. It's not that it's unconstitutional, but it may very well be unconstitutional for the federal government to implicate that sort of authority or power over, overriding the power and the authority of the state. So now you've got tons of people pissed off. So here's the whole thing. Before we even get into the next level with kids and schools, here's really my initial thought has been from the beginning, and it still is now. Is this something we're trying to prolong? Is this something that we're just trying to lessen the cases? Or is this something that we're trying to actually eradicate? I mean, nobody will actually admit to where the COVID came from. Everybody seems to think that it came from a coronavirus testing center in Wuhan, China. But from my understanding, nobody is, there's been a complete lack of accountability on everyone's part. Nobody should have let this slide. Nobody can say with certainty where it comes from or where it originated, because nobody will actually cooperate with that investigation. So to me, just from the start, that's extremely suspicious. It doesn't necessarily admit fault or guilt. It's just seems odd to me that this virus has a lifespan of 3 to 4 weeks on surfaces, in the air, whatever, maximum 3 to 4 weeks. But the fact that you said, vote for me, I won't, push these vaccine or mask mandates. I will bring everyone together, just talking down to all the Americans on 9/11 of all days. I mean, it's just unbelievably poor move. I mean, the Afghanistan thing was bad enough. Really, the Afghanistan pullout was horrible. I mean, and maybe this is something. My thing is are we trying to eradicate the virus or just lessen it? Because all I'm hearing is they're saying we're trying to lessen the amount of cases. I don't want to lessen the amount of cases. I want to eradicate it. I don't want, what's going to happen when you have all these federal employees? So if you were to, fire, if you have 100 people that work for you, what are you going to have? 500,000 employees just get fired? So, and given businesses the power to fire employees if they refuse to get the virus vaccine or show weekly negative tests. I mean, it's just a shit show over control. And as far as the legal aspect of whether it be constitutional or unconstitutional, I think at the federal level, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below, but I believe at the federal level, the federal government has no authority to make any kind of health mandate, and that authority is left up to the state. So we don't really have, everybody says follow the science, but back to my point, if this virus was only 3 to 4 weeks, has a lifespan of that, we shut down the economy, we shut down everything, we shut down the schools, we started remote learning. That was a crash course disaster. We all saw that the school systems, the government, and everyone, the entire world was not prepared for this type of pandemic, wasn't prepared for a pandemic whatsoever. They weren't prepared for this crisis, and the kids have suffered. We've been told that if you have immunity, if you've been vaccinated, and that your, all these mask mandates and vaccines are to protect the vaccinated from the unvaccinated, and all these deaths are now being caused by the unvaccinated. I mean, none of what I just said made any sense. If you have immunities, I mean, this stuff's all over the news. This isn't anything new. But with the federal, vaccine mandates, you're going to either be having people quit, get fired. So, that's why I wanted to make this video, because I was pretty offended. I have a baby. We have 9 and 10-year-old girls, and none of them could get vaccinated, even if they wanted to get vaccinated. We've let all these kids go back into the schools. We've established that masks don't stop the spread, they just lessen the spread. And all I'm hearing is a big political shit show. Because what I do for a living is find problems and I fix them. But if you can't isolate the problem you have to isolate the problem. Masks, if they aren't killing the virus, if they don't stop the spread, if they only lessen the spread, then that's, just something that you should do. It's not something that should be mandated. And when you have, the kids are suffering, our girls' education really started to suck when we started doing the virtual learning. The school systems weren't prepared for this. Families weren't prepared for this. You got people not going to work. I had problems with my employer. People want to know. And then, President Joe Biden, you said, I've got your back to the people who have been vaccinated. Fuck you. Why wouldn't you have my back just because I haven't been vaccinated? So here's the thing. I'm in a position where we have kids, they're unable to get vaccinated. And you act like, oh, well, this doesn't apply to you guys. But it does apply to me. I'm one of the 80 million Americans that haven't been vaccinated. Our children haven't been. Yet we're sending our kids back to school around a bunch of other germ spreaders, where none of the kids can be. You can't just, force vaccinate people and force compliance. And as a federal entity, I'm pretty sure you can't overstep the state's boundaries and mandate something like that. So I'm John Lee. This is my video on the COVID-19 update with the speech from President Joe Biden. Today's September 11th. I feel like, we need somebody that brings us together, not somebody that says, you 240 million people, I got your back. You other 80 million people, well, you better watch your back. What does that say to the American people? Why aren't we talking about getting rid of the virus? Why aren't we talking about taking accountability and saying, hey, everyone, if we're going to, look at all the money. This is something I was thinking about. Look at all the money that they spent in stimulus. Look at all the money they spend in bailouts. Look at all the money they spend in PPP loans, just in all kinds of different shit. And what did it do? Now we have a variant. Is this just going to be a prolonged forever pandemic? I mean, who sees the end of it anywhere in the near future? Because I don't. And if there's one option of just staying the hell away from everybody for 3 to 4 weeks, wouldn't that have been a better option now looking back? Because this is what I was telling everybody in the very beginning. Why is everybody actually still going around each other? And I know he talks shit on the sporting events and the restaurants, and being American is having the choice to do what you feel is right for yourself and your family. And so, I just can't be united. I can't go along with this. And there's a lot of businesses that aren't going along with this, like a $14,000 fine for each infraction if you don't, force this on your employees or force this on your business. How are people? So here's the thing, there a $14,000 fine if I don't make my employee get vaccinated, if I have over 100 employees. But if they do get COVID, then I have to pay for their time off and cover their full salary. So, none of this is set up or designed for success, okay? And as a troubleshooter, as a technician, it's very easy for me to say, when you're looking for a solution to the problem, 9 times out of 10, and almost 10 times out of 10, the answer's right in front of you. There's almost always a cause and effect. You know what I'm saying? So putting this kind of a mandate and this kind of pressure on businesses, on employees in the middle of a pandemic where we already have, a high rate of people not employed. This is just a setup for a catastrophic nightmare. But, one of the biggest things that bothers me is it's almost like this, vice grip that's trying to get its claws. It's like, it's like a battle for control. Like you will comply or else, they're talking about flight, showing personal medical information, having to prove that you've been vaccinated just to go to the stores, just to go to certain restaurants. It's a real issue and a real sad day for September 11th, 2021, 20 years after the attack of the Twin Towers. And this is a horrible, horrible way to try to make a diversion or distraction from your pathetic commander-in-chief decision to, pull out of Afghanistan the way you did in a real cowardly way that left a lot of Americans and American allies at risk. That's not how America does things. We don't jeopardize people. We don't put people's liberties or their safety at risk. So for all of you people, and then for, Joe Biden to say, oh, everybody's so mad, everybody's so upset with the unvaccinated. What do you got to lose? Kids have to get vaccinated anyways. People have a free choice. This is still the land of the free and the home of the brave. You know what I'm saying? So our kids can't get vaccinated. I probably wouldn't have them get vaccinated even if they could get vaccinated. I don't want to get vaccinated. I just, if I know that I'm allergic to lactose, then I don't drink milk. If I know that I have a compromised immune system, I don't go out in public. I don't go to places that have a lot of people where there's a high risk, of infection or a high risk. You can't, it's not my responsibility to protect you from you. It's only my responsibility to protect me from me, or me from you, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's not my job to walk around holding everybody's hand and telling them, to stay the fuck away from everybody and stop spreading their germs and stop doing ridiculous things. Okay, we need better filtration in the school systems. We need to just pay everybody an X amount of money if that's what it takes. I mean, if we're, how much were the stimulus? I mean, it's astronomical. What were we, like $20-30 trillion in national debt? Find a viable solution that unifies everybody. Okay, it's not that difficult. The problem is the COVID. How long does the COVID last? That's how long you have to stay the fuck away from each other. I'm sorry that you don't like it. I'm sorry that you don't want to do it. But I'm not going to get vaccinated, and it sounds like 80 million other Americans aren't going to get vaccinated either. So my thing is to blame, the unvaccinated for the continuing deaths of other people who can't take responsibility for their own actions and stay the hell away from people. 75% of Americans, from my understanding, have already been vaccinated. And if you've already been vaccinated, then you have immunity. And so, if it's always going to be a variant, there's always going to be control, there's always going to be federal government mandates, and there's always going to be a booster required, and it's never going to stop. Are we actually trying to prolong the life of this COVID-19 pandemic, or are we trying to eradicate it? I'm John Lee. Drop your comments below. If you like videos like these, be sure and hit that like and subscribe button. Peace, love, and happiness to all. God bless America.
Many of us are frustrated with the nearly 80 million Americans who are still not vaccinated. When I became president, about 2 million Americans were fully vaccinated. Today, over 175 million Americans have that protection. I need to tell you a second fact. We're in the tough stretch, and it could last for a while. While the vaccines provide strong protection for the vaccinated, we read about and hear about and we see the stories of hospitalized people on their deathbeds among the unvaccinated over the past few weeks. This is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. And it's caused by the fact that despite America having unprecedented and successful vaccination program, despite the fact that for almost 5 months, free vaccines have been available in 80,000 different locations, we still have nearly 80 million Americans who have failed to get the shot. This is totally unacceptable. If you wonder how all this adds up, here's the math. The vast majority of Americans are doing the right thing. Nearly 3/4 of the eligible have gotten at least one shot, but 1/4 has not gotten any. That's nearly 80 million Americans not vaccinated. And a country as large as ours, that's 25% minority. That 25% can cause a lot of damage, and they are. The unvaccinated overcrowd our hospitals, are overrunning emergency rooms and intensive care units. leaving no room for someone with a heart attack or pancreatitis or cancer. That the vaccines provide very strong protection from severe illness from COVID-19. I know there's a lot of confusion and misinformation, but the world's leading scientists confirm that if you're fully vaccinated, your risk of severe illness from COVID-19 is very low. In fact, based on available data from the summer, only 1 out of every 160,000 fully vaccinated Americans was hospitalized for COVID per day. These are the facts. So here's where we stand. The path ahead, even with the Delta variant, is not nearly as bad as last winter. But what makes it incredibly more frustrating is we have the tools to combat COVID-19, and a distinct minority of Americans, supported by a distinct minority of elected officials, are keeping us from turning the corner. These pandemic politics, as I refer to, are making people sick, causing unvaccinated people to die. We cannot allow these actions to stand in the way of protecting the large majority of Americans who have done their part, want to get back to life as normal. As your president, I'm announcing tonight a new plan to require more Americans to be vaccinated to combat those blocking public health. My plan also increases testing, protects our economy, and will make our kids safer in schools. It consists of 6 broad areas of action and many specific measures in each of those actions that you can read more about in whitehouse.gov. whitehouse.gov. The measures, these are going to take time to have full impact. But if we implement them, I believe, and the scientists indicate, that the months ahead we can reduce the number of unvaccinated Americans, decrease hospitalizations and deaths, and allow our children to go to school safely and keep our economy strong by keeping businesses open. First, we must increase vaccinations among the unvaccinated with new vaccination requirements. With nearly 80 million eligible Americans who have not gotten vaccinated, many said they were waiting for approval from the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA. Well, last month, the FDA granted that approval. So, the time for waiting is over. This summer, we made progress through the combination of vaccine requirements and incentives, as well as the FDA approval. 4 million more people got their first shot in August than they did in July. But we need to do more. This is not about freedom or personal choice. It's about protecting yourself and those around you, the people you work with, the people you care about, the people you love. My job as president is to protect all Americans. So tonight, I'm announcing that the Department of Labor is developing an emergency rule to require all employers with 100 or more employees that together employ over 80 million workers to ensure their workforces are fully vaccinated or show a negative test at least once a week. Some of the biggest companies are already requiring this. United Airlines, Disney, Tyson's Food, and even Fox News. The bottom line, we're going to protect vaccinated workers from unvaccinated coworkers. We're going to reduce the spread of COVID-19 by increasing the share of the workforce that is vaccinated in businesses all across America. My plan will extend the vaccination requirements that I previously issued in the healthcare field. Already, I've announced we'll be requiring vaccinations at all nursing home workers who treat patients on Medicare and Medicaid because I have that federal authority. Tonight, I'm using that same authority to expand that to cover those who work in hospitals, home health care facilities, or other medical facilities. A total of 17 million healthcare workers. If you're seeking care at a health facility, you should be able to know that the people treating you are vaccinated. Simple, straightforward, period. Next, I will sign an executive order that will now require all executive branch federal employees to be vaccinated. All.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. You really lost me at this is not about freedom and this is not about choice. I'll play the rest of it. You can hear it for yourself. What do you think? Drop your comments below. I'm John Lee. I'm on to the next one.
I've signed another executive order that will require federal contractors to do the same. If you want to work with the federal government and do business with us, get vaccinated. If you want to do business with the federal government, vaccinate your workforce. And tonight, I'm removing one of the last remaining obstacles that make it difficult for you to get vaccinated. The Department of Labor will require employers with 100 or more workers to give those workers paid time off to get vaccinated. No one should lose pay in order to get vaccinated or take a loved one to get vaccinated. Today, in total, the vaccine requirements in my plan will affect about 100 million Americans, 2/3 of all workers. And for other sectors, I issue this appeal to those of you running large entertainment venues, from sports arenas, to concert venues, to movie theaters. Please require folks to get vaccinated or show a negative test as a condition of entry. And to the nation's family physicians, pediatricians, GPs, general practitioners, you're the most trusted medical voice to your patients. You may be the one person who can get someone to change their mind about being vaccinated. Tonight, I'm asking each of you to reach out to your unvaccinated patients over the next 2 weeks. Make a personal appeal to them to get the shot. America needs your personal involvement in this critical effort. My message to unvaccinated Americans is this: what more is there to wait for? What more do you need to see? We've made vaccinations free, safe, and convenient. The vaccine is FDA approval. Over 200 million Americans have gotten at least one shot. We've been patient, but our patience is wearing thin, and your refusal has cost all of us. So please do the right thing. But just don't take it from me. Listen to the voices of unvaccinated Americans who are lying in hospital beds, taking their final breath saying, if only I'd gotten vaccinated. If only. It's a tragedy. Please don't let it become yours. Second piece of my plan is continuing to protect the vaccinated. For the vast majority of you who've gotten vaccinated, I understand your anger at those who haven't gotten vaccinated. I understand the anxiety about getting a breakthrough case. But as the science makes clear, if you're fully vaccinated, you're highly protected from severe illness, even if you get COVID-19. In fact, recent data indicates there is only one confirmed positive case per 5,000 fully vaccinated Americans per day. You're as safe as possible. And we're doing everything we can to keep it that way. Keep it that way. Keep you safe. That's where boosters come in. The shots that give you even more protection than after your second shot. Now, I know there's been some confusion about boosters, so let me be clear. Last month, our top government doctors announced an initial plan for booster shots for vaccinated Americans. They believe that the booster is likely to provide the highest level of protection yet. Of course, the decision of which booster shots to give, when to start them, and who will give them will be left completely to the scientists at the FDA and the Centers for Disease Control. But while we wait, we've done our part. We've bought enough boosters, enough booster shots, and the distribution system is ready to administer them. As soon as they are authorized, those eligible will be able to get a booster right away. in tens of thousands of sites across the country for most Americans at your nearby drugstore and for free. The third piece of my plan is keeping, and maybe the most important, is keeping our children safe and our schools open. For any parent, it doesn't matter how low the risk of any illness or accident is when it comes to your child or grandchild. Trust me, I know. So, let me speak to you directly. Let me speak to you directly to help ease some of your worries. It comes down to two separate categories. Children ages 12 and older who are eligible for a vaccine now, and children ages 11 and under who are not yet eligible. The safest thing for your child 12 and older is to get them vaccinated. They get vaccinated for a lot of things. That's it, get them vaccinated. As with adults, almost all the serious COVID-19 cases we're seeing among adolescents are in unvaccinated 12 to 17-year-olds, an age group that lags behind in vaccination rates. So parents, please get your teenager vaccinated. What about children under the age of 12 who can't get vaccinated yet? Well, the best way for a parent to protect their child under the age of 12 starts at home. Every parent, every teen sibling, every caregiver around them should be vaccinated. Children have 4 times higher chance of getting hospitalized if they live in a state with low vaccination rates rather than states with high vaccination rates. Now, if you're a parent of a young child, you're wondering when will it be the vaccine available for them? I strongly support independent scientific review for vaccine uses for children under 12. We can't take shortcuts with that scientific work. But I've made it clear I will do everything within my power to support the FDA with any resource it needs to continue to do this as safely and as quickly as possible. And our nation's top doctors are committed to keeping the public at large updated on the process so parents can plan. Now to the schools. We know that if schools follow the science and implement the safety measures like testing, masking, adequate ventilation systems that we provided the money for, social distancing, and vaccinations, then children can be safe from COVID-19 in schools. Today, about 90% of school staff and teachers are vaccinated. We should get that to 100%. My administration has already required teachers at the schools run by the Defense Department, because I have the authority as president of the federal system, the Defense Department and the Interior Department, to get vaccinated. That's the authority I possess. Tonight I'm announcing that will require all of nearly 300,000 educators in the federal paid program, Head Start program, must be vaccinated as well to protect your youngest, our youngest, most precious Americans, and give parents the comfort. And tonight, I'm calling on all governors to require vaccination for all teachers and staff. Some already have done so. We need more to step up. Vaccination requirements in schools are nothing new. They work. They're overwhelmingly supported by educators and their unions. And all school officials trying to do the right thing by our children. I'll always be on your side. Let me be blunt. My plan also takes on elected officials in states that are undermining you in these life-saving actions. Right now, local school officials are trying to keep children safe in a pandemic while their governor picks a fight with them and even threatens their salaries or their jobs. Talk about bullying in schools. If they'll not help, if these governors won't help us beat the pandemic, I'll use my power as president to get them out of the way. The Department of Education has already begun to take legal action against states undermining protection that local school officials have ordered. Any teacher or school official whose pay is withheld for doing the right thing, we will have that pay restored by the federal government 100%. I I promise you, I will have your back. The fourth piece of my plan is increasing testing and masking. From the start, America has failed to do enough with COVID-19 testing. In order to better detect and control the Delta variant, I'm taking steps tonight to make testing more available, more affordable, and more convenient. I'll use the Defense Production Act to increase production of rapid tests, including those that you can use at home. While that production is ramping up, my administration has worked with top retailers like Walmart, Amazon, and Kroger. And tonight, we're announcing that no later than next week, each of these outlets will start to sell at-home rapid test kits at cost for the next 3 months. This immediate price reduction for at-home test kits for up to 35% reduction. We'll also expand free testing at 10,000 pharmacies around the country. And we're committing $2 billion to purchase nearly 300 million rapid tests for distribution to community health centers, food banks, schools, so that every American, no matter their income, can access free and convenient tests. This is important to everyone, particularly for a parent or a child with a child not old enough to be vaccinated. You'll be able to test them at home and test those around them. In addition to testing, we know masking helps stop the spread of COVID-19. That's why when I came into office, I required masks for all federal buildings, on federal lands, on airlines, and other modes of transportation. Tonight, I'm announcing that the Transportation Safety Administration, the TSA, will double the fines on travelers that refuse to mask. If you break the rules, be prepared to pay. And by the way, show some respect. The anger you see on television toward flight attendants and others doing their job is wrong, it's ugly. The fifth piece of my plan is protecting our economic recovery. Because of our vaccination program and the American Rescue Plan, which we passed early in my administration, we've had record job creation for a new administration. Economic growth unmatched in 40 years. We cannot let unvaccinated do this progress, undo it, turn it back. So tonight, I'm announcing additional steps to strengthen our economic recovery. We'll be expanding COVID-19 economic injury disaster loan programs. That's a program that's going to allow small businesses to borrow up to $2 million from the current $500,000 to keep going if COVID-19 impacts on their sales. These low-interest, long-term loans require no repayment for 2 years and we can use to hire and retain workers, purchase inventory, or even pay down higher cost debt racked up since the pandemic began. I'll also be taking additional steps to help small businesses stay afloat during the pandemic. Sixth, we're going to continue to improve the care of those who do get COVID-19. In early July, I announced the deployment of surge response teams. These are teams comprised of experts from the Department of Health and Human Services, the CDC, the Defense Department, and the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, to areas in the country that need help to stem the spread of COVID-19. Since then, the federal government has deployed nearly 1,000 staff, including doctors, nurses, paramedics, into 18 states. Today, I'm announcing that the Defense Department will double the number of military health teams that they'll deploy to help their fellow Americans and hospitals around the country. Additionally, we're increasing the availability of new medicines recommended by real doctors, not conspiracy theorists. The monoclonal antibody treatments have been shown to reduce the risk of hospitalization by up to 70% for unvaccinated people at risk of developing severe disease. We've already distributed 1.4 million courses of these treatments to save lives and reduce the strain on hospitals. Tonight, I'm announcing we'll increase the average pace of shipment across the country of free monoclonal antibody treatments by another 50%. Before I close, let me say this. Communities of color are disproportionately impacted by this virus. And as we continue to battle COVID-19, we will ensure that equity continues to be at the center of our response. We'll ensure that everyone is reached. My first responsibility as president is to protect the American people and make sure we have enough vaccine for every American, including enough boosters for every American who's approved to get one. We also know this virus transcends borders. That's why even as we execute this plan at home, we need to continue fighting the virus overseas, continue to be the arsenal of vaccines. We're proud to have donated nearly 140 million vaccines over 90 countries, more than all other countries combined, including Europe, China, and Russia combined. That's American leadership on a global stage. And that's just the beginning. We've also now started to ship another 500 million COVID vaccines, Pfizer vaccines, purchased to donate to 100 lower-income countries in need of vaccines. And I'll be announcing additional steps to help the rest of the world later this month. As I recently released the key parts of my pandemic preparedness plan so that America isn't caught flat-footed with a new pandemic comes again, as it will. Next month, I'm also going to release the plan in greater detail. So let me close with this. We've made so much progress during the past 7 months of this pandemic. The recent increases in vaccinations in August already are having an impact in some states where case counts are dropping in recent days. Even so, we remain at a critical moment, a critical time. We have the tools. Now we just have to finish the job with truth, with science, with confidence, and together as one nation. Look, we're the United States of America. There's nothing, not a single thing we're unable to do if we do it together. So let's stay together. God bless you all and all those who continue to serve on the front lines of this pandemic. And may God protect our troops. Get vaccinated.